With the Conrads patching themselves up, Joe heads home to clean up the mess of the fight. It's at this point that he vows to get Henry out of the situation, telling him, "Don't worry, after today, we're never doing this again." He starts cleaning the entire place up. Some of the stuff he actually keeps, like all of Carrie's drugs. Most of it, however, he tosses. But as he's cleaning up, he finds a handgun. And that's when he realizes, oh my god, last night could have gone way worse. Just as he's finishing up cleaning up the house, he gets a phone call from Dante. Neither Dante or Joe have heard from Marion. Joe's texted her a bunch of times, but hasn't heard back. And Dante's pretty concerned. She didn't come into work that day, and there is one place that Dante figures she might be. So he gives Joe the address, and it's a liquor store. So Joe drops Henry off with Dante at the library, and then he heads off to go find Marion. Love, meanwhile, is at the bakery, trying to figure out how to get rid of the Conrads. And Sherry is being oddly nice for being trapped in a cage. She actually reminds Love that she has to write an introduction letter for Henry's preschool. It's due that day. She actually offers to help with it, but Love says no. And then she gets a phone call from Theo saying, "We need to talk." So she leaves the Conrads and heads out to the alley where Theo's waiting for her. Theo fills her in on exactly what Matthew has, i.e. the video of Joe. But all Love is concerned with is the fact that Matthew is recording people. Theo tells her it's because he's trying to figure out who killed Natalie. And Love frantically asks, well, does he think it was me? And Theo at first says no, but then he says, I don't know. Theo then tells Love that he did get kicked out of the house, but he wants her to come with him. He doesn't like the fact that she's in this, quote, abusive relationship. And that's when he drops the L word. He tells Love that he loves her. He says to Love, look me in the eye and tell me your husband isn't a violent man, which, of course, Love can't do. So Theo says, okay, I'm going to go back to my dad's, grab the footage, and that'll prove that Joe was abusing you. Love, however, says, Theo, I need to think about it, and he vows to come back. Love starts trying to get a hold of Joe, but Joe is busy with Marion. Marion is sitting outside on the stoop with a bottle, really upset. Ryan is planning on moving to New Jersey. He's got a whole new job lined up, and he's taking Juliet with him. This causes Marion to sit there beating herself up over her past transgressions. So Joe, to make her feel better, tells her, I killed a guy once. The guy was beating on my mom, and I shot him. We all have stuff in our past, but that doesn't define who you are now. Joe then informs Marion that he's ending his marriage with Love. And that's when the two go home, and Joe has sex with her. The whole time, by the way, his phone is blowing up from Love. Love then realizes that she has an issue because there's an influencer in her basement. She heads downstairs with Sherry's phone and unlocks it, posting to her subscribers and followers and whatnot that she's going off the grid for a while. Sherry continues to be nice to her, figuring that you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. And Sherry's kindness actually works. Love ends up telling her that Theo told her that he loves her. Sherry, of course, thinks that that's hot. And then Love tells Sherry that Matthew's been stealing surveillance video all over town. And that's when Sherry gets the idea to out him on her blog. Let the world know what Matthew's up to. It's around this time when Joe finally checks his phone and realizes he does have an issue. And that's when his mind starts racing about what Love possibly could have done. Before he can leave, though, Marion tells him that she's heading to New Jersey to follow Juliet. Joe, of course, can't believe that he's about to lose her, but she tells him, I have to do whatever it takes to be in her life. Now Joe needs to figure out how to keep her in Madre Linda. Easiest way to do this? Get rid of Ryan. Before he can even worry about Ryan, though, he does have to get home to find out what the big deal that Love is talking about. And she informs him that they're all being spied on, everybody, but she's taking care of it. She took Sherry's advice, wrote a blog post about it, and she recently just saw a bunch of suits run into Matthew's home. She expects they're trying to clean up the mess before the feds show up. Love gives Joe a hug, and that's when she feels his back and feels the gun. And Joe tells her that he got it from Carrie. And Love is really pissed off that they brought a gun into her house. She thinks this could actually help them out, though. Make it look like a murder-suicide, because, hey, that worked once before. And Joe tells her, that's a great idea. But the whole time he's thinking, this marriage cannot end soon enough. But Love is right. Next door, those suits are from Matthew's company. And they're begging him to delete all the information he has before the feds show up. He's convinced, though, that he's onto something. He just hasn't found it yet. He keeps rewinding the last moments that you see Natalie on camera, which was going into a fresh tart. His business partner actually lays out the entire Goldberg plan, but saying how ridiculous it is. And Matthew knows that this hunch is a little far-fetched, but he just feels it. Logic, however, gets to him, and he ends up deleting it all. But that's not before Theo snuck back into that room and got most of it on a flash drive. Theo goes in his car and starts looking at the flash drive, and he starts doing exactly what Matthew did. But then he looks at another camera angle, and that's what he sees what Matthew didn't. That's when he sees Joe Goldberg get into the car, which was blocked by the alley. Clear as day that person in the car wasn't Natalie. It was Goldberg, and now he's got him. He goes to find Love, but Love is dealing with the Conrads again, although this time Love's mood is completely changed. Sherry tries to put on the good face, but it's not working this time, so Sherry's emotions get the best of her, and she says, "Screw Joe for letting you fix a marriage that never stood a chance." And that's the final straw for Love, who thinks that their marriage is great. She walks back, puts the gun in the transfer window, and says, "I'll let whoever shoots who first out. If your marriage is so perfect, then stay together and die." Theo, though, is still having trouble getting a hold of Love, so he heads to the bakery. Love isn't there, though. Unbeknownst to him, the Conrads are. He looks all over the bakery, but he can't find them because they're hidden in a secret room in the back of the basement. And he's about to leave until all of a sudden he hears a gunshot because the Conrads figured, let's put this bulletproof glass to the test. Carrie shoots the lock, doesn't work. Bullet actually ricochets and hits Sherry's ear, and they're freaking out a bit. And that's when Theo rushes in and sees that the Conrads are locked up. They tell Theo everything. This is a lot to process for Theo. He's having complete denial issues that Love had anything to do with the murder of Natalie. But the Conrads are trying to hammer home that Love was a part of it. Love shows up at the bakery a few minutes later. Right before she's about to walk in, she gets a phone call from Dante asking if he should put Henry down. And this is a bit of a surprise. Love had no idea that Henry was even with Dante. That's because Joe went off, found Ryan, and stabbed him to death. Love ends up calling Dante back up and saying, "I'll try to get in touch with Joe, and if not, I'll call you back." Before she can even deal with that situation, she walks back into the bakery where she sees Theo, which is a big surprise. And Theo had headed upstairs to look for a key to let the Conrads out. Theo comes clean, saying the Conrads are downstairs saying you killed Natalie, but I know that's not true. I know it was Joe, and I have proof. He asks Love, "Come with me," but she says no. "I need you to leave Madre Linda and never come back. We're not going to be able to see each other again." As Theo heads for the door, Love calls his name and knocks him out, right down the steps. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought this sucked. Make sure to be nice in the comment section. If you don't see the next video up in the end screen there, I'll get it up in a few days, not to worry. And I have merchandise, so go buy a mug or something. It's never too early to think about Christmas gifts, folks. Once again, thank you for checking out this recap.